Do you smell gas or fuel when you turn off your Skyline or when you're driving? Well, guess what? It might be this or this. So here recently, I would turn off the Skyline after an awesome drive because I love this car. And then I'd get back in the garage and I was hit in the face with the fuel smell. And I essentially started to throw stuff at it because I couldn't find a fuel leak. So what did I do? I did the simple stuff first. I replaced the gas cap. And then after that, I lifted up the right rear wheel, I took off the wheel, and I just started looking around to see if there's any leaks. I also took off this plastic paneling where the hose from where the gas cap goes, the hose that goes to the gas tank. I was just looking at that, seeing if it was cracked or loose or anything like that, and I couldn't find anything. So then I thought maybe when you turn off your car, the evap system was having an issue, so I replaced the canister, still nothing. So I decided to go back there. I opened up the trunk, I took everything apart, and I got to the fuel pump assembly, and there was some fuel sitting on top of the connectors. So I was thinking maybe it's this rubber O-ring because I couldn't find a crack. So I bought a rubber O-ring, I put it on there, I put everything back together, and I still had that fuel smell. So I looked at a video, and there's a video on YouTube right now of a young man where he had a cracked top assembly of the fuel pump, this one right here. And I was thinking, you know, maybe there's a crack right in between where this connector goes and where this hose goes in the plastic like he had, and that's leaking. So I decided to order a new one, and that's what we're gonna be doing today. We're gonna be installing this new one. We're gonna be removing the old one, and we don't know, hopefully we find that crack. But this is one of those videos where I have to be very legal, I have to be very protective of myself and of you. This is one of those things that you're dealing with fuel, so you have to either know what you're doing, take it to someone who knows what they're doing, or follow all the safety and precautions and proper steps how to work on fuel systems. And one of those is how to relieve the fuel pressure. So I'm not gonna be filming, I'm not gonna be instructing, I'm not gonna be telling you anything about relieving fuel pressure. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna show you how to get to the fuel pump assembly. So we access the trunk, and I'm removing this bottom carpet area. And also I'm gonna be removing this little plywood area. Okay, the next thing we're gonna be doing here is we're actually gonna be removing these little clips right here. Now there's quite a bit of these clips. What I like to do is I go back, remove the center part with the Phillips, and I pull out with the trim tool. It's pretty easy. I had some that broke off, and I ordered these on MegaZip, and they were not very expensive, but these are good to have because they're all over this part. So what I'm gonna do right now is I'm gonna remove this rear strut brace, and I'm using a 22 millimeter, and I'm just gonna loosen, and it's a bolt. So it's kind of a funky looking bolt, but when it's about to fall off, I push it towards me and I angle it down a little bit. And the reason why is because it could just fall, and we don't want it to hit anything. All right, and we're gonna take this out. And then there's a little bit of Velcro right here. I undo the Velcro, and this part comes out. So we have a ton of 12 millimeter bolts and nuts that we have to remove from this really heavy metal plate here. And this plate, I think, is protecting, you know, the fuel tank and the battery and all that, but we have to remove it. It takes a lot of ratcheting, so what I'm using a little bit of a power tool, and I'm gonna be taking them off. All right, this actually goes to a fire extinguisher. And to be honest with you, when I started smelling fuel, I got a fire extinguisher, and this is a great place. If you want to see that video, I'll put that video in the description, but it's good to have a fire extinguisher in your car. All right, now we're gonna be removing this plate. You wanna be careful, don't hit anything. So this sensor for the Hikkas, I believe it's like a yaw or a gyro sensor or something like that. This needs to move. And what I'm doing is I'm going to be removing two 10 millimeters, one bolt and one nut. All right, and then I'm going to disconnect this. I'm going to be careful with this because this is a sensor. You don't want to throw it, drop it, or anything like that. So I'm going to put this somewhere safe. I cut the zip tie because I needed to get this harness loose. You got 4 10 millimeter bolts. I'm going to remove those to get access to the fuel pump assembly. All right, so I've got this plate loose. When you lift it up, you could actually see some connectors, and pretty straightforward connectors. You just kind of pull in the connector, push up, and then pull in the connector and push up. Now this is the part that I was telling you guys. I am not going to tell you how to relieve the fuel pressure. We're not going to discuss it. All I'm going to tell you is you have to be safe. You have to take it to a professional. You have to do it right, follow the service manual, do all those things. So we're not going to talk about that, but I'm going to relieve the fuel pressure and come back. Okay, so we got the hoses off, and now we're going to be removing this big plastic nut. And what you do is you actually have to get a tool for it. You could try to hit it with the hammer and do a bunch of stuff, but you could hurt things. That's not the right way to do it. I got this tool from Amazon. It's not the best tool, but it works, and you're going to see how it works. I'll put the Amazon affiliate link in the description where you could buy it, but let's go ahead and do it. So there's like these grooves in between the cap, and you're supposed to lock this down between them, right? And this is where I said it's not like a perfect tool, but it does the job because I already used it. Once you have it locked down, you have to lock down these little wing nuts, right? So it could not move around. And then you're gonna put something on top of it. Again, it's not easy to work with, but once you got it on, you could turn it. And you might have to adjust it a couple times because when you turn it, you're gonna have to lift it up and move it over. Again, it's not a perfect tool. I will admit that right away, but it works. And you want to turn it so you could do it by hand. So let's see. All right, and then you can remove it. At this point, you can lift up the assembly and you can actually see what's going on. It's pretty wild. Oh man. All right, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna remove the connectors and the hose. So you just wanna make sure you look at how everything goes. You can't get a lot of things crossed, but you also don't wanna drop things into gas tanks because that'd be a bad day, right? So let me go ahead and reach in here. Now all this stuff can be super brittle, so make sure you're gentle with it. So I press down and I pull down. Same thing with this one, press down, slowly pull up. And then I've got a hose here, and I'm gonna remove the clamp by compressing the clamp and just moving it down here. And then I'm gonna see if it comes off. If it doesn't come off easily, there it goes. But I don't want to drop this down below, so I'm going to grab this, and then at this point in time, I'm going to pause because we want to grab this real quick. We don't want it to fall all the way down. All right, I think we found our source. Look at that crack, guys. We've got a crack right there and a crack right there. And that would cause some leakage. So I am super pumped up. Now what I did was I flipped it around and this thing was on this, and I gently pulled it past, was right here on these two. I pulled it past this little kind of bump right here. I pulled it out gently and then I put it on this one. And so at this point in time, we're just gonna start to look over everything real quick, and then we're gonna put this one in. All right, we got the hose and the 2 connectors plugged in, and we're now gonna put this gasket down, and it's good to buy a new gasket. I got a new one. All right, so we got our cap seal in, and now we're putting on our ring, and you might see mine at an angle, and that's because part of my hose was pretty bad, so I had to cut it off because the original clamp dug into it too much. So I had to kind of angle a little bit so I could get these hoses back in there. But yours should be straight. You're gonna have an arrow, and you're gonna wanna match your arrow with this arrow. So there's an arrow right here, and you're gonna wanna match it with the original factory paint, which is usually yellow and white, and it's gonna be right here in the 6 o'clock. But don't mind me what I'm doing. I've got to replace this hose later on. But I just wanted to show you what I'm doing. I'm going to put this back on using our tool and go from there. So we patched everything back up, pretty much reverse order for what you saw originally when we took everything apart. And then I said, I can't end the video unless we go drive and verify that we actually fixed the problem. So I went out and got some nachos. I always get those Cafe Rio nachos. They be on point. And I was driving there and driving back, and no fuel smell. Woo! Guys, I have a sensitive smell. So that fuel smell was getting to me like big time. Like I was like, The fact that it's fixed is awesome. So I hope this video helps you to identify if you have a fuel smell with your Skyline. And from what I could see, it's kind of a common issue. So hopefully it can help you out. Well, thank you for watching. We appreciate it. Please press the like button, leave a comment. It doesn't matter if it's about the nachos or about the repair or fix. And you guys stay safe, take care, and we'll talk to you soon.